I wanted to take a couple minutes to, in the vein of just keeping fishing simple and keeping frog fishing simple, go over a couple things to simplify your fishing as it pertains to frog fishing. The first thing I want to talk about is rod lengths. I think some guys actually throw even like 7'6" and even longer rods, which is fine. But I like a 7-foot heavy or 7-foot medium heavy rod. This is a St. Croix Legend Extreme, and I like that type of a rod so that I can make those close quarters pinpoint casts, and that shorter rod enables me to do that. And this is a rod that I think I could get away with frog fishing for just about any place, anytime, anywhere. However, a friend of mine says that he's an odds man, and I'm an odds man too, so I want to stack the odds in my favor. So I think when it comes to making long bomb casts over lily pad fields, or actually fishing a frog over matted grass, and you're making these really long casts, I think you really need more leverage. I think you need a longer rod, and this one here is a St. Croix Legend Tournament, and it's a 7'4". It's a heavy action rod, and it's a slop and frog / swim jig rod, and it's a great rod. I feel it's still got some tip, which I think you really still you want to be able to put the frog where you want it. But I wasn't great in math, but I know this is like geometry. Getting those fish, having a longer rod, and getting those fish out of that heavy cover from a longer distance, the longer rod is definitely going to put more fish in the book for you, especially around those heavy cover situations. When it comes to, like I said, day in, day out frog fishing, I love that 7-foot range just for lure placement and open water frogging, isolated targets, skipping a frog under a dock, those types of things. I think that 7-footer helps me put it in a place that that 7'4" would make it a little bit more difficult. When it comes to line, I like Tuf-Line XP, and it's a great rod. It's a great line because it's not one of those really smooth ones. It's got a little bit of grit to it, and when it comes to around vegetation, it can saw through that stuff a little bit better than some of the smoother types. And not that it's rough going through your guides or anything. It's great. It's really casts well, handles well. I love 50. Some guys use 65 and maybe even heavier, but I really feel like I've never had an issue where 50 wasn't enough. So I really like 50. The way it casts, the way it handles, the way it sits on my equipment, I just really feel like that's sufficient for me. When it comes to reels, I really like a fast reel, because a lot of times you'll stick them in that shallow water and they'll come shooting out there and you're trying to really catch up to them. So I think it's important to have a really fast reel. I've got a couple of reels here. This is a Cabela's Arachnid. It's their 100 XS model, and it's an 8.1 gear ratio reel. The other one I've got here is a Shimano Corrado, and it's a 7.2 to 1. So you can see I like a little fast. I like my reels to be on the faster end. The other thing I want to talk about is frog types. This is a KVD Sexy Frog, and I like this type of frog when I'm fishing around heavy cover and I'm wanting to be stealthy. So I don't really want to, I want to kind of finesse it through there, and it just ekes up on a fish. And also I love that pointed snout, so it can go through reeds, it can go through lily pads a little easier, it can go through heavier cover pretty easy. But sometimes fish want something with a little more commotion, and a poppin' style frog, this is a Strike King poppin' perch. It's got that cup mouth, and you can really bloop bloop bloop, you can chug it and really push some water, and it has a better drawing power than just your standard pointed snout frog. So there's a time when you want one or the other, and both catch fish really well. So I would say definitely keep two. As far as colors go, I've got a box full of different colors, but probably day in, day out, I would say a black like just a standard black, or black and yellow is good too. A white, this is a sexy shad pattern. It's just great also, white or sexy shad, but just staying in those tones of black, white. And then some sort of natural color say a brown or something that looks or emulates bluegill. This color is called Stump Jumper, and I really like it. It works really well. I've caught a ton of fish on it, but there's one that's green pumpkin. That one catches a lot of fish too. And then there's some greenish colors, but something natural like that, something that emulates bluegill, I think does really well. So those three are the must-have in my color spectrum, and that handle the heavy lifting as far as, you know, me catching fish on frogs. When it comes to working them, I keep the rod tip down and I just twitch, 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 twitch. I pause sometimes longer than others. Sometimes I keep it moving. Just got to let the fish tell you on a given day. Setting the hook, you definitely want to wait. So you don't want to be just pow right away, but if your frog's gone, fish comes up, frog's gone, set the hook. That's kind of my thoughts. Maybe if I start missing one or two, then I'll maybe wait a little bit longer. Sometimes they just don't quite get it. So, but that's frog fishing just in a real quick nutshell, keeping it simple. This is just something that really works for me. I thought I'd share it with everybody, just my approach to frog fishing. Man, if you like this, like my channel and subscribe, and then if you guys have anything else you'd like to hear or see, or if you'd like me to do a video on, please post it in the comments section. Thanks.